Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle, and today I'm going to be talking about something that is probably more relevant to me now, looking at my next vehicle, but electric cars, and electric cars. That is all.
Hello and welcome to
Infinite Prattle!
Unscripted, unedited prattle on everything, hosted by me, Stephen. Listen, like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Infinite Prattle. Thank you very much for joining me again. Electric vehicles is the topic of today's podcast. But first, wearing a Team GB hat, as the Olympics is on currently. Unfortunately, not seeing as much of it as I would like, but this hat was a bargain, so bonus. Also, I'm going to have one camera angle today, and it's not because I'm doing something serious, it's because I'm an idiot and I turned this plug socket strip off behind me when I leave my room, because otherwise the lights come on and stuff. And I'd plugged the spare phone that I use as a separate camera angle, I'd plugged it in and then obviously turned the power strip off. So I walked in today thinking it was charged, and it wasn't. So this angle, which you can't see, isn't going to be available, for better or worse. It'll make editing a lot easier for me. Um, I'm 11 episodes in, and it's all fallen apart already. Uh, yeah. Anyway, I've moved my little sign as well because when I'm doing the video podcast, anyone that's watching them, I have noticed that apart from the reverse angle, you can't see my sign scrolling through all the cool stuff that I've got displayed. So, and for anyone that's interested, that's by a company called Divoom, DIVOOM, and it's pretty good screen to be fair. It's like pixelated display. Anyway, on with electric cars. I'm not saying I'm an expert in this, by no means. I'm not going to Donald Trump it up by proclaiming that I'm some sort of expert in anything, if I'm honest with you. If you're a long time listener to this podcast or recent viewer, thank you. But yeah, you'll know that I talk in generalities. General. I'm struggling with words recently. Generalisms. Is that the word? Is that the word I was looking for? I don't know. I'm a very general person when I speak about things, unless it's something I'm really into, like aliens. And I'm going to do an Alien Romulus and Alien Earth podcast soon. I think I've done an Alien Romulus one, but I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive into Alien Earth 6 months after the event. I was a bit late doing my podcast. Anyway, electric cars, Christ. Um, welcome to Infinite Prattle. Um, yeah, so the reason I'm going to do this one today is me and Sarah have what's called a motability car in the UK. Because of Sarah's illness, she's allowed basically I want to say free, but it's not free. You still have to pay a deposit, and there's still some outgoings on it. But essentially, she gets a free car, uh, and from a selective range from different manufacturers. So we're very lucky in that respect, because it would be massive extra resource going out of our pretty much sole income into the house. So we're very lucky. So I'll start by prefixing that and saying I know not everyone's in this position, and I feel very privileged that basically we get a free vehicle essentially. On the other hand, I do pay an excessive amount of tax on my wages, so I almost feel that it's a bit of compensation for that. But yes, we went today to BYD. They've got a garage in my hometown of Crewe in Cheshire, and yeah, we had a look around. And first off, it's not an advertisement for BYD, but it's just an advertisement in general for good customer service and friendliness and how things should be nowadays. They weren't mithery, they weren't trying to sell us anything, although they were, but they came across very, very well. And they were just very open with us, and yeah, it was a nice experience to be fair. My dad recently had a car from them. He's got a mobility vehicle as well, so he's got bad knees from his time in the army, um, and he qualified a couple of years ago, and he recently got a BYD Seal U, which is like an SUV. So we went today and thought, well, our mobility vehicle's up soon. let's go and have a look at one because I was considering an electric vehicle and I was considering one of these Chinese vehicles, um, which I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit apprehensive about because I think in the UK and maybe other parts of the world, I'm not sure, a lot of our stuff's manufactured in China, and I think you kind of see it as kind of like good stuff if it's been produced for a company. But then when it's a Chinese company releasing stuff, you think, oh well, it's just being produced in the same warehouse, but for worse quality. And I don't think that's the case. I think the sites like Temu and stuff like that have really proved that manufacturing over there is good enough to produce cheap products. They're actually still usable and still excellent value. I know I've done an episode on Temu about some of the things I've bought. I've not really found anything that's been super bad for the price, at least. Anyway, um, I mean, recently I bought a new case for my vlogging kit. So if you're watching online, you can see this case, and it's it was like £13, and it's solid, and it holds my vlog kit for going away or if I'm on location, like when I went to Ireland, even though I never actually recorded one, it was a waste of time taking it. But it's a cracking case for the price, and I'm thinking, does that apply to vehicles? I think it does. So the whole electric car game has been out for a while now. It's not unusual to see electric cars on the road now. In fact, they're quite common. Again, not sure what it's like where you live. Let me know. But in England, the UK in general, you can't really go out now without seeing a few electric vehicles on the road. Even in my small town of Crewe, there's a lot of electric vehicles about, and quite good infrastructure for charging electric vehicles. See a lot of supermarkets, a lot of car garages, and office buildings, etc., all have electric chargers. So, in the advent of us getting a new car, um, we were considering when we first uh, switched to the Motability scheme, but really seriously considering it now. Maybe this is the time to switch. Um, but they've been out for a while, and I feel that like the first adopters of anything always are. I don't want to say the worst off, but they're the people that um, help products grow, help mold things, and help manufacturers build a better product and a better service for people. So kudos to the people that had the money when electric vehicles came out, and hopefully fed back and made things better. The price of electric vehicles has come down considerably, and companies like BYD, Jaico, is it what's that? What's the other one that begins with an O? That's a Chinese vehicle. I was going to say Omega, but it's not Omega. I can't think what it's called. There's several companies now from China that have really flooded the market with. I want to say cheap, but cheap is relevant. Is like relative to how much money you've got. But I would say cheap for an electric vehicle or hybrid when you compare it to some of the conventional vehicles that are out and about that just are like petrol or diesel. And it makes it more accessible for people and hopefully cheaper. But yeah, donkeys years ago, like even when Tesla first came out, they probably led the way for probably commercial available vehicles that were like more mainstream. Still a bit pricey. But I think they started leading the way with battery technology and actually being able to drive more than like 50 miles. And I think that's one of the key things because even though a lot of our journeys that we do are local, it's that whole mileage anxiety you get with an electric vehicle. So I think that's kind of what always kind of put us off is the infrastructure and thinking about when you need to charge, the time it takes to charge. Um, but I'm not as worried about that now. You drive around and see the infrastructure there, and cars have an average of a good mileage now in electric mode. So yeah, so going back, like when electric vehicles came out, they were super expensive in my view. Maybe there were some bargains, and I think the only ones that were like competitively priced, but if you think about it, they weren't, were these very small compact city cars, but they had really low mileage on them. And a guy at work has got one of these vehicles as well. He's got a little Citroen. Is it? I can't remember what it's called. Is it? I want to say Mimo, but that's completely wrong. There's a little Citroen one, and it's a cracking little car, really basic, but they're not particularly cheap in the sense of it is so basic, and it only does say like 50, 60 miles to a charge. And it takes a while to charge because it charges off a conventional plug socket rather than a fast charger or a high voltage charger. So the swings and roundabouts there, you're like lacking on one thing to get a benefit of the other. But in a city, they would be brilliant, and he uses his just to get back and forth to work, and probably saves a fortune in petrol or diesel, because them short journeys are the things that really kill miles per the gallon for a vehicle. You know, warming the engine up, getting that fuel efficiency uh, really up there. Whereas your engine's barely worn in and warmed up before you've actually got to work, especially with all the electrical gadgets and stuff on cars nowadays. Um, your fuel efficiency is just not there. My car I've got at the moment is a 1 litre Skoda Karoq, and the engine's fabulous on it. To be fair, I was really impressed when I first took it for a test drive. Sarah doesn't drive at the moment, which is hopefully going to pass soon. Um, and for 1 litre petrol, it's brilliant. It's pretty good for miles per the gallon, but it still doesn't go very well around town. And if you need to put your foot down because it is a 1 litre engine, it does still suck a bit of petrol. And I don't think it's as fuel efficient as it should be for a 1 litre engine, but it is quite a large vehicle for that size of engine. And engine technology has come a long way. I would have never believed. In fact, when I test drove it, I actually came back to the garage and popped the bonnet, and the guy came out and was like, "Is everything all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just checking it as a 1 litre because it seems quite nippy for a 1 litre." I was expecting it to be like a 1.4 or 1.6. Not that I thought he was lying, but I thought he'd just maybe give me the wrong car to test drive or something. And it was indeed a 1 litre. Um, so I was quite impressed in that, but you've still got to put petrol in it, and petrol's not cheap anymore. In the UK, it's currently hovering around £1 in my area, hovering around £1.30 for a litre. That's 1 litre, 1,000 millilitres of petrol is £1.30. Which when I started to ride a motorcycle and had to buy petrol back in 2002, 2001, I think the price of petrol was in the 70s, 70p, which is still quite expensive. And comparable to a country like America, we have very expensive fuel. I know they do moan about their fuel prices, but they're still, I think, comparatively a lot cheaper than ours. But our cars are normally a little bit more eco-friendly and get better mileage. I think they've only really just started to accept like what they call compact vehicles. But yeah, I think in general, I'm ready to make that switch because I feel a little bit more confident, even though I am apprehensive. But we went to the BYD showroom today, and I've been keeping an eye on the old electric car market over the past year or two, watching some YouTube channels that exclusively review electric vehicles, looking at the features, the functionality, what you get for your money. When it's not so much of a consideration in our view because we have the Motability scheme on our side, but you're still restricted about what cars you're allowed to get. We're not open to any of the vehicles. So for BYD, we're only allowed to choose out of three vehicles in their range. So which is the Seal U, which is like a big SUV, and I can't remember the name's gone off the top of my head, but it's like this small compact version of that. And then there's like a middle ground one. It's gonna do my head on what it's called. It's something two and something three, whatever it is. So we're not allowed to. We don't qualify for the sea lion, the dolphin, or the other one, which I can't think what it's called. But yeah, is it a seal? Seal lion. Yeah, sea lion, and dolphin. We're not allowed to look at. But to be fair, the seal is like the saloon fast one. Really, you can get a crazy car on that. My mate's got one of them. The sea lion is probably too much of a sporty SUV really for what we need. We need a bit more luggage space, and I think that's kind of like an SUV, like a hybrid SUV kind of thing. And then the Dolphins are just too small for our needs. It's more like a city car. That'd be more like a spare car for us, so to speak. But yeah, we went down there today and we were very impressed. And I've been looking at BYD for a while. See, my dad got one, and I was quite surprised he did because I didn't think he'd be into like trying out a company like that. And it's not a racist thing. I think you just have a perception of, oh well, Jaguar, VW, all established brands. BYD hasn't been around that long. they're kind of offering this product like that seems too good to be true, because the prices for their vehicles seem really low for what you get and for the quality you're getting and for the design you're getting, because they all look good. All the cars, even the little Dolphin city car, is a good look. And this isn't an advert for BYD, by the way. I think this applies to a lot of companies now. And when you look at like the Skoda versions and the VW versions, they look kind of boring and business-like even. Very like utilitarian, which is I love from a vehicle. I'm very much like I like styling, but I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to. I don't pay for the badge that's on the car. I had Dacias for a long time, which is a Romanian brand which uses Nissan technology and Renault parts to build a car, and they got a lot of shit, especially on Top Gear, which I could never understand whether it was tongue in cheek with Top Gear because it was such a cheap car, but they viewed it as being a bit shit at the same time. They used to say the Dacia Sandero is coming out and it's going to have this new feature. It's going to have heaters and stuff like that. So it was almost like in the UK, people used to make jokes about Skodas back in the day and Ladas, and it's almost like a difference on that is been related now to the you know the more modern version of Dacia. But I think Dacias are lovely cars, and I've owned a couple of them, and they've been really nice, and I've absolutely fell in love with them a little bit, really, if I'm honest with you. Um, just bit distracted. It sounds like someone's just turned up at my house. I'm wondering who it is. You might have heard the dog barking in the background then. It was barks when someone arrives. So I'm not sure who that is. I'm a bit like, what will go see? What will go see? But no, we must finish the podcast. Um, yes, so I say for the 20th time. They were really nice in BYD today, and I think I'm convinced. I think I'm there. I think I'm ready to get an electric vehicle. Will I have range anxiety? I don't know. I don't know. The one we looked at today, which I can't remember what it was called. If I remember, I'll put it in the description. Um, which was it was basically like a small SUV, like a compact SUV. Very nice design inside, a little bit different, a little bit. It looked different than most cars. Um, there was like how you got out of the car. It had weird like door handles. The the gear shifter almost looked like a throttle for a plane. Very cool. Very cool. Big LED screens for the information and really lovely seat position, kind of bucket seat kind of style. Really lovely vehicle. 260 miles of range, he said. So you probably can take 10% off that, 20% off that maybe for how you drive it and environmental conditions. So you're probably really talking realistically 220 miles, 230 miles. I would probably say as a guesstimate. Don't take these as verbatim. These this is what I'm seeing from the YouTube channels that I've watched. I'm thinking is that would be enough for our day-to-day drive of just going around Crewe, even getting to hospital and back, which is like a 70 to 80 mile round trip. But we do like to go on road trips every so often, and I was thinking, is that good enough? Like when we go to Scotland, it's like maybe 300 miles. We'd have to stop and charge, um, and it's expensive to stop and charge. Is it more expensive than filling up with fuel? Probably not. I don't know. Probably have to do a bit more research on that. But day-to-day use, it would save us money. They're doing a thing at the moment where they fit a charger in your house for you, on the outside of your house for you for free. So even though there's like a £2,000 deposit on the car, you know, that's the downside of Motability, but you are getting in the car for 3 years without really having to do any further expenditure apart from filling it up with fuel, um, or electricity in this case. Yeah, and the one I was looking at is a completely fully electric, whereas the one that my dad got, which is a CLU, is like a mild hybrid. Is that what they call it? Mild hybrid. Basically, it's not a plug-in hybrid. Sorry, so it has a very small battery. It takes you about 70 miles, and then it also has a petrol engine in, and they kind of work together. And he's been getting really good mileage out of that, and that's kind of the way I was kind of going because of you've still got the option to go on electric for small journeys around town, go on a big road trip. You've got the reassurance of a petrol engine, and yeah, I suppose environmentally, is it better to have an electric vehicle? I suppose there's pros and cons for each, isn't it? Like you buy a petrol car, you're polluting the environment. They have to extract that petrol and get it to you and refine it, and that's bad for the environment as well. But electric cars, they have to extract all the stuff for the batteries, have to recycle the batteries. Where does it go in when they're dead? Um, what if your battery just dies on your car? The expense of getting that replaced. So there's a few things to look at the moment, but I think at the moment, I think currently, BYD seem the way to go for me. We've got to look at other cars. Don't get me wrong. We're going to look at some other electric ones, but I think for what you get, value for money wise, these Chinese companies are coming in, and you can see why their sales are through the roof. You know, you get like I think in all the BYD range, and again, don't quote me on this, but you get like electric seats, electric wing mirrors, electric windows, and they're not standard on some cars nowadays. Still, even like brands like Skoda and stuff, you don't get things like that. My dad's car's got heated back seats, vented seats, and these are all things that will stand on his vehicle as well for a certain band of class, like. But a lot of things come as standard. It's all voice control. His car is. He literally just speaks to it. He's got a sunroof, which I really like. That's the only thing that I really wanted that car for. I miss a sunroof in a car. Something that's kind of gone out of fashion in recent years, which is a shame, really. So it is a shame. Um, and I'd love to see that come back if I'm honest. I'd love to see like the old sunroof make a reappearance. It would be nice. Um, but yeah, really really nicely built cars, feel solid, and yeah, it's. I think a lot of companies should be worried. I think VW Group, BMW, which are part of all that, and even high end group, even high end spec cars like Mercedes, should be worried. They should be worried because these cars are coming in at 30, 40,000 pounds, and you're getting a £70,000 spec car. And people in this climate don't care where that car's coming from. They're less inclined for a badge now, I think. Is it nice to have a Mercedes? I've never really been bothered about it, to be honest. I had Datchas, like I say. It was a practical car. It got me from A to B. Reasonable fuel consumption. It was big inside. I could throw crap in it. It was cheap enough that if I damaged it, I wasn't overly bothered. Um, that's when I owned the car myself. Um, but yeah, these cars are coming out and they're nicely designed, comfortable, and full of specs. And you feel like you're getting a lot more for your money. And I actually don't know how they're making any money on these cars. To be honest, I think it's quite crazy that their profit margins must be quite strict. But yeah, I would definitely say think about making the switch. But I don't know. I'm on the fence at the moment about they're on about phasing petrol and diesel cars out in the UK in the next 4 years, and I can't see that happening because everyone still has petrol and diesels. And what's going to happen to all these cars when they do get phased out? Will you still be allowed to keep a petrol car? And how long will that be allowed for? Because they want to phase out the sale of petrol and diesel, and how long? It's not actually going to solve the issue of people owning them. And then they want to phase out the sale of petrol, but you can only do that within a certain time frame because it kills the commerce of it. So there's a balance between commerce, manufacturing, saving the planet, which I'm all up for. It's a big thing. It's a big thing at the moment, and I don't know if the government's doing enough to help out, and I don't know whether manufacturers are doing enough to help out, and we're all just sat in the middle as consumers, having the worst time of it, if I'm honest. And it always comes back to us to kind of sort it all out, and that's why I said in previous episodes, we think with our feet. You need to think with your feet, and if you're not happy with something, don't go and buy it, and don't buy into it. I say that I did a rant about coffee, and I still go and buy a Costa coffee or a Starbucks. So I need to practice what I preach a bit. Anyway, I've rambled on for a while now. What do you think about electric vehicles anyway? Do you think they're the future? Do you think it's still a bit of a fad? Do you think they've not refined them enough? How much range would you feel comfortable with? Like I fill my car up and it says I'll get 300 miles, 350 miles on a good day. Is that acceptable? Electric cars are getting there now. But yeah, for me, I think I'm on the tipping point. I think I'm going over the edge towards the electric car world. But we shall see. We shall see. I'll keep you up to date if we do get one, or if we're going to get one, or I change my mind completely. I might do an update if I remember. So remind me if I don't. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. If you've enjoyed this episode, please go back and check some others. If you haven't, go back and check some others. I don't stick to one topic. All my podcasts are different. If I ever don't get to a point as well on my podcast, sometimes I'll start off with trying to make a point and I never get to the point. Tell me in the comments and I'll come back to that point, because I don't like things hanging, and I do have a terrible memory. I go off on tangents. So yeah, point that out to me, please. Yeah, if you can, give me a subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. It really, really would make a difference to me, that I know that people are regular visitors and listeners. And if you can leave a review as well, that'd be really, really good. I've got 5 stars at the moment on most podcast platforms, so it'd be really nice to accrue more 5-star ratings. Yeah, take care of yourselves, and best of all things is chill out, look after yourselves, and remember to keep on prattling.
Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host, Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.